believe again. Tell them to focus again. Tell them to stand up and walk into what I put in them. So, if you're tired of the enemy whispering lies, if you're done letting fear have the final word, if you're ready to walk bold, believe deep, and focus forward, then stay right here. Because what's coming next is not just inspiration, it's transformation. Let me talk to the part of you that's been quiet lately. The part that used to dream boldly. The part that used to believe without doubting. The part that had a fire burning on the inside so strong it didn't matter who said what, you just knew you were built for more. Somewhere along the way, life dimmed that light. Somewhere along the way, disappointment started whispering lies, telling you that maybe you're not good enough, maybe it's too late, maybe the best. Before I say another word, let me tell you something right now. You didn't walk into this moment by accident. You didn't scroll in, click in, or sit in this seat by chance. There's a reason you're here. There's a word that's been tailor-made for your soul today. And if you dare to lean in, if you dare to listen, God is about to shake the dust off your dreams, reignite the fire in your belly, and remind you of who you are and whose you are. Because some of you have been living beneath your calling, drowning in doubt, sitting on the sidelines of your own destiny. But today, I came to wake something up in you. I came to stir the embers of your belief and refocus your faith. This ain't just a motivational message. This is a divine appointment. You've been crying, you've been doubting, you've been drifting, but God said, tell. Parts of you are behind you, but the devil is a liar. You are not finished, you are not forgotten, and you are certainly not empty. What you carry inside of you is bigger than your surroundings. See, I came to remind somebody today, you are not ordinary. You are not average. You have power, you have purpose, and you have promise. Everything you need to become everything you were created to be is already living on the inside of you. You may not see it clearly right now. It may be buried under years of fear, failure, or fatigue, but that doesn't mean it's not there. You've been waiting for someone to validate you, to see you, to recognize you. But let me help you today. Validation doesn't come from outside affirmation. It comes from divine identification. God already stamped his approval on you when he breathed life into you. You don't need permission to be who you already are. What you need is belief. Belief that even if no one claps for you, you still carry greatness. Belief that even when doors close, destiny is not denied. Belief that even when you're tired, discouraged, overlooked, or overwhelmed, your worth is not negotiable. I know it's hard. I know some of you are sitting here with broken hearts, silent battles and secret struggle. You question whether you can keep going. You question whether you're really meant for the calling you feel pulling at you. But hear me, the enemy always attacks what he fears. He's not after your past. He's scared of your future. That's why he keeps trying to shut your mouth, weaken your mind, and shake your confidence. Because if you ever truly believed in yourself, if you ever really looking at other people's lives and start believing that God has a unique path for yours, you are not in competition with anyone else. Your journey is custom built. Your gift is tailor-made. Your value isn't diminished by someone else's success. Stop comparing. Start declaring. Declare over yourself, I am enough. I am chosen. I am called. I am equipped. I am more than what they said. I am more than what I've done. I am becoming everything God designed me to be. Because belief is not a feeling, it's a decision, it's a declaration, it's an act of faith. And don't wait until it's easy. Don't wait until you feel strong. Sometimes you've got to believe in the middle of brokenness. Sometimes you've got to believe while wiping your tears. Sometimes you've got to believe when the bank account says not yet. When the relations saw what God put in you, you'd be unstoppable. You've been second guessing yourself because life didn't turn out the way you thought it would. But can I tell you something? Detours don't cancel destiny. You've been through some things, yes, but what you've been through It didn't break you, it built you. The pain shaped you, the losses refined you, the trials trained you. You didn't come through all that to shrink back now. You didn't survive the storm to sit in silence. There's a roar in your belly, there's a war in your spirit. There's a destiny that's waiting on your yes. But before doors open, before the promise comes to pass, before the spotlight shines, you've got to learn how to speak life over yourself in the dark. You've got to learn how to lift your head when everything around you says stay low. You've got to stop here. Maybe you should do what they're doing. Maybe you should be more like them. Maybe this thing God put in your heart is too big for someone like you. But I came to tell somebody today, if you're going to walk into the fullness of your purpose, if you're going to see the manifestation of what you've been praying for, you've got to learn to silence the noise and tune in to your call. You see, the enemy doesn't always show up with a red pitchfork and a scary voice. Sometimes he shows up in comfort. Sometimes he shows up in busyness. Sometimes he shows up in subtle compromises, little things that chip away at your focus, steal your time, drain your energy, and detour your destiny. You're not out here doing bad things. You're just not doing the right thing. You've got 99 open tabs in your life, but none of it falls apart when the doors slam shut, because that's when belief becomes a weapon. That's when belief becomes your lifeline. Belief is what pulls you out of the pit. Belief is what silences the lies. Belief is what separates the survivors from the overcomers. And when you start believing in yourself, not because of who you are, but because of whose you are, something shifts. Heaven starts moving. The rent starts rising. Focus sharpens. Courage returns. And the same you that the world overlooked will be the one God raises up. So today, I dare you. Believe again. One of the greatest battles you will ever fight is not with people, it's with distraction. Distraction that sounds like doubt. Distraction that looks like opportunity, but it's really just delay dressed up in something shiny. Distraction that whispers in your and start chasing calling. You stop responding to every critic, every invitation, every emotion. You stop being everywhere and start being present where you need to be. Because not everything deserves your energy. Not every argument deserves your voice. Not every open door is your door. And not everyone who started with you is meant to finish with you. Sometimes focus looks like isolation. Sometimes focus looks like saying no. Sometimes focus looks like being misunderstood. But let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them laugh. Because while they're talking, you're building. While they're laughing, you're growing. While they're doubting, you're obeying. And when the time comes, when the fruit shows up, when the vision becomes visible, they'll see what God was doing in you all along. You've got to be willing to, it has an opinion. Everybody's posting something. Everybody's living their best life online. And here you are trying to stay focused, trying to stay faithful, trying to trust God with something you can't even explain yet. And the noise starts to wear you down. And let me tell you something. Distraction is a strategy. It's designed to dilute your faith and delay your future. That's why every time you get serious about moving forward, something random comes up, some drama, some temptation, some unnecessary fight. It's not just life, it's spiritual. Because the enemy knows if you ever get focused, if you ever get locked in, if you ever align your life with what God is saying, there's not a demon in hell that can stop you. So what do? You do what focused people do. You eliminate the unnecessary. You stop chasing claps. Look foolish while you follow God. You've got to be willing to walk blindfolded by faith, trusting that even if you can't see the outcome, you trust the one who gave you the instruction. You don't need clarity when you have conviction. You don't need applause when you have an assignment. And you don't need a crowd when you carry a calling. And don't be discouraged if you have to walk alone for a season. That's the price of purpose. God separates before he elevates. He strips away what's not aligned. He clears out distractions so you can finally hear his voice without the echo of other people's opinions. This is the season to refocus. This is the season to recalibrate your heart and fix your eyes, because there's something ahead that requires your full attention. God is doing something in your life that demands clarity, commitment, and consistency. And if you will tune into him, really tune in, not halfway, not occasionally, not when you feel like it, but daily, deeply, devotedly, you will begin to see things you've never seen before. So today I'm challenging you, clear the noise and lean into the call. Everybody wants the promise. Everybody wants the breakthrough, the blessing, the stage, the success. But what nobody wants to talk about is the process. The nights you cry yourself to sleep, the doors that don't open, the moments you feel forgotten. We celebrate the mountaintop, but we don't talk about the climb. And if you're going to believe in yourself, if you're going to stay focused and fulfill what God has placed inside of you, then you've got to learn how to embrace the process just as much as the promise. See, the promise is exciting. The promise is what gets you out of bed. But the process will test your patience. The process will strip away your pride. The process will challenge everything you thought you knew about timing, about trust, about yourself. But the process is not your punishment. It's your preparation. It's the part of the journey that's making you strong enough to carry the very thing you've been asking God for. Because the truth is, God's not just interested in blessing you. He's interested in building you. He doesn't just want to get you there. He wants to make sure you have the character, the integrity, the spiritual stamina to stay there. And that doesn't come from ease. That comes from pressure, from fire, from long nights and unanswered prayers and lonely roads. It comes from learning to stand when every in you wants to sit down and give up. You've got to understand that the wilderness is not the enemy of the promise. It's the pathway to it. That desert season you're in right now, that waiting room you can't seem to leave, that stretch of silence where it feels like God is nowhere to be found, that's part of the plan. He's doing something in the dark that's going to shine in the light. But you've got to stay in the process long enough for the work to be completed. And I know it gets hard. I know you get tired. You look around and wonder why it's taking so long. You see other people moving ahead and it feels like you're standing still. But what you can't see is what God is doing under the surface. While you're worrying about the fruit, he's been working on the roots. And if the roots aren't deep, the fruit of watering the very ground your blessing's going to grow from. What if I told you that the things you thought disqualified you were actually the things that God is using to qualify you? See, your testimony won't just be about the moment you made it. It'll be about how you kept going when nobody saw you. How you didn't give up when it looked impossible. How you trusted God even when you didn't understand him. And here's the thing. People will clap for your success, but they'll be changed by your scars. Don't hide the process. Don't be ashamed of the struggle. Don't cover up the journey, because somebody out there needs to know that it's normal to question. It's normal to hurt. It's normal to wrestle. But what matters is that you don't stop walking. You don't stop showing up. You don't stop believing. There will be moment. Last, some of you are in a stretching season. Everything feels tight, uncomfortable, uncertain. But what you call discomfort, God calls development. He's pulling something greater out of you. He's stretching your faith, stretching your trust, stretching your endurance. Because the next level you're going to requires a stronger version of you. You can't take old habits into new seasons. You can't carry dead weight into divine territory. You got to stop thinking that because it's hard, it's not God. Stop thinking that the delay is a denial. Stop thinking that pain means abandonment. No, he's right there in the breaking, in the silence, in the tension. God is not just with you in the victory. He's with you in the process of becoming. What if I told you that the struggle is the story? that the tears you cry to know exactly where the road leads. And sometimes the hardest part of the journey is simply learning how to take the next step when everything around you says stay still. But faith was never about certainty. Faith was never about comfort. Faith was never about knowing every detail. Faith is about obedience. It's about courage. It's about walking boldly even when the path is unclear. You don't need to see the whole staircase to climb. All you need is the strength to take that first step. And some of you have been waiting too long. You've been sitting in the valley of hesitation, waiting for perfect conditions, waiting for everything to line up, waiting for some magical sign to give you the green light. But what if I told you that the sign is your breath? The sign is the fact that you're still here. You survived what? You don't feel anointed. Moments you don't feel chosen. Moments when you don't feel anything but exhausted. And in those moments you have to remember, faith is not about feeling. It's about faithfulness. Can you keep trusting him when there's no sign? Can you keep moving when the way isn't clear? Can you keep praising when the promise seems far? That's where the real growth happens, not in the reward, but in the refusal to quit. That's where strength is born. In the trenches, in the stretching, in the pressing, that's where destiny is forged. So if you're in the middle of the process right now, don't curse it. Don't rush it. Don't run from it. Lean into it. Learn from it. Because God is not just taking you somewhere. He's making you someone. Sometimes you're not going to have all the answers. Sometimes you're not going to try to break you. You made it through what was meant to take you out. You're not standing here by accident. You're standing here because there's more for you to do, and you can't wait for certainty to move into your calling. You've got to stop waiting for everything to make sense before you move. Some doors won't open until you move. Some miracles won't manifest until you move in faith. Some clarity won't come until you commit. See, we want God to explain it, then we'll obey it. But God says, obey it, and then I'll reveal it. And that's where trust is born, in the not knowing, in the surrender, in the steps taken in silence, when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when you don't feel strong, but you keep moving anyway. And yes, it's scary. Yes, it feels risky. Yes, your knees are shaking, but boldness. Have it all together, but because you know who's walking beside you. You're not walking alone. You're not stepping out in your own strength. The same God who called you is the same God who will keep you, who will sustain you, who will catch you if you fall. But you've got to give him something to work with. You've got to put your feet to your faith. There's something about movement that activates miracles. There's something about motion that invites manifestation. God blesses action. And while you're sitting there overthinking it, second guessing it, replaying every mistake, God is saying, just go, just move. Just trust me enough to take one step. And when you take that one step, he'll meet you there. He'll open doors.